Okay, as I told you, we are going to discuss few MCQ questions selected from the past papers. Actually, in your syllabus, you don't have past paper questions. That's the main issue. However, we can filter some questions from the previous syllabus, which is 2015-19 syllabus. We had a subject called KE2, Management Information System, that is a combination of mathematics, statistics and the application of those techniques in the costing requirements. That paper consists half MCQ question and half essay type questions. Therefore, we can have that last syllabus 10 past papers which include MCQ about both costing and mathematics and statistics. I have downloaded those past papers. Now I am trying to discuss the MCQ questions relating to mathematics and statistics, business mathematics and statistics only. I am not going to do all the MCQ questions because some MCQ questions consist of the costing questions also. I will skip that questions. I will take only mathematics related questions relating to your syllabus, right? Okay, this is the 2016 March past paper KE2 1.5, the first mathematical questions, MCQ question. Let's see the question. This is the question, right? A representative sample of 100 staff members is to be chosen from a population of 30,000 staff members. A representative sample of 100 staff members, you have to select from 30,000 staff members of a firm to study the staff members idea on the in-house canteen. Now you have a population of 30,000 people, you require a sample of 100 people out of the 30,000, right? Which one of the following gives a simple random sampling of 100 members? Now you know we have systematic sampling, random sampling, right? Different methods we have in our study text sampling techniques. However, they are here asking which of the following gives a simple random sampling. Randomly select 100 staff members only from cutting department and assembling department being the largest departments. That is not a sample because they are selected subpopulation because entire business having 30,000 people. They have two departments called cutting and assembling. They are going to select this 100 only from two departments. That means that sample not representing the entire population. Therefore, A cannot be the answer. B, randomly selecting 100 staff members from all departments proportionate to the number of staff members in each department. That's more close answer because you have a population of 30,000 people, right? Now they are in different departments in different quantities. You have to select 100 randomly from each department. That means your population should be presented person from each department based on the percentage they having. 3, assigning numbers to all the staff and selecting 100 random numbers by drawing lot and with the aid of computer software. That is not a simple random sampling, it is systematic random sampling. Assigning numbers to all staff members and selecting every 300 staff member, again it is not a random sampling, simple random sampling. Therefore, answer would be B, selecting 100 employees randomly based on the proportionate of staff each staff, right? Then B sometimes gives more close answer. Therefore, we can take B as the answer. Then let's see the 1.6. It is costing question, therefore I will skip it. Now 1.10, this is another question we discussed relating to that time series analysis and linear regression, both chapters, chapter 11 and 12. This is a MCQ question relating to that chapter 11 and 12, right? Give me 1 minute to have the answer sheet also, then we can easily compare both. right. Previous question 1.5, which was gives you the simple random sampling, right. Here simple random sampling, randomly select 100 staff members only from cutting department and assembly department, that is not representing the entire population. B, randomly select 100 staff members from all the department based on the proportionate of each department, assigning numbers to all staff and selecting 100 random numbers by drawing a lot, and assessing numbers, assigning numbers to all staff members and selecting every 300th staff member. Now, if you take this D, D is a systematic random sampling, right. Therefore, D cannot be the answer. A is not sampling because you are selecting only from 2 departments. Therefore, answer will be B or C, right. Answer will be B or C. B is selecting 100 people from all the department based on the proportionate of each department. This strategy called stratification, that is, you will divide your entire population per subpopulations, then you are getting people from each subpopulation to represent the entire subpopulation in the sample. Therefore, this can be a random sampling but based on the stratification. Therefore, B will be an answer, but it is based on stratification. Then let us see the C, assigning numbers to all 30,000 and selecting 100 randomly. Now, a simple method is C because B consists stratification. Stratification is not a simple method. Therefore, answer would be Z. Previously I told you it would be B, but B cannot be the answer because B is selecting 100 people, that is okay randomly, but based on different strata, that is based on different subpopulation. Therefore, B is not the answer, C is the answer, selecting 100 randomly from the entire 30,000. Answer will be C. Then we will move into 1.10, another question for mathematics. This is relating to the chapter 11, linear regression. Okay, let us see the question. XYZ company estimates the linear relationship between X and the X is the output and the total cost of Y. Therefore, the formula will be Y equal A plus BX. Y shows the total cost, X shows the output. Using the monthly data for past 5 months, the following have been calculated. Sigma xy have been calculated, sigma x, sigma y, sigma xy, sigma x squared, sigma y squared. The figures has been given. Identify the pair of equations to be solved in order to establish A and B for the regression line. Very good question. I think you can remember, we have discussed this part. Regression line is Y equal A plus BX. Here they have given you it, right. Y equal A plus BX. Now, to develop this formula, we have to find out A and we have to find out B. You know, we have a common formula to find out A. To calculate A, what you need to do, you have to use the formula. That formula is sigma xy minus n sigma x bar into y bar, divide by sigma x squared minus n sigma x bar squared. That is the formula. I think you can remember, right. I will show you the formula. Do not worry, in the exam you will be given the formula, right. In the exam most probably you will be given the formula because there is a formula table, formula book, as well as probability tables also given in the same booklet. Therefore, you can easily use those formula, otherwise you have to keep this formula in your mind. That is up to you, right. Okay, I will show you the formula to calculate A and B. See, the same type of question you have in your study text also. The figures given, then you have to put them into the formula. Let us take the population formula for A and B. Right, this is B formula. As I told you, n sigma xy minus sigma x bar, sigma y bar n sigma x squared minus sigma, that is x bar squared, right? This is the formula as we discussed. X bar is sigma x divided by n, y bar is sigma y divided by n. Now there is an example as they solved here. Now let's see how they have provided in the formula. Here sigma x, here sigma y, here sigma xy 8104, n sigma xy, n is only 5 numbers, sigma xy 8104, 5 into 8104 minus, right, n sigma x bar, n into sigma x bar into sigma y, sorry, n into x bar into y bar, that is the general formula. However, x bar is the average of x, y bar is the average of y. Once it multiplied by n again, you will be ended with the total, right? N is 5, x bar will be 20 because sigma x divided by n is the x bar, sigma y 400, n 5, when 400 divided by 5, 80. Now n x bar y bar finally will be sigma x sigma y, because the average will be multiplied by n in the basic formula. Even you multiplied or use sigma, same, therefore you can use 100 and 400 here, clear. Then sigma s squared, n sigma s squared, this is sigma s squared 2040, n is 5, therefore 5 into 2040. Thereafter you have to take x squared, that x bar is squared, x bar is squared means x bar is this divided by, here you have 5 points, x bar is 20, that is 100 divided by 5, 20, n x bar is squared, n x bar will be finally again 100, then 100 is squared, 100 into 100 also same, that is why they have used here 100 squared, right. This is the formula. I just explain how you have to use in the exam. Look here, because we don't know which information given, right. Our MCQ question was about linear regression line, right. Now linear regression line is y equal a plus bx, right. We have to find out a and we have to find out b to develop the line. To calculate a, formula is a equal, right, y bar minus b into x bar, right. To develop b, the formula, basic formula I have told you in my previous sessions, n sigma xy minus n x bar y bar, right, divide by n sigma x squared minus n x bar squared. Now this formula we can rewrite in another way, because we don't know which method that exam given in the exam. Now here you have to use a number of item in the question, sigma x into y, then total. You have to use it as it is, sigma xy. In this case, see what is this x bar? That is sigma x divided by n. What is this y bar? Sigma y divided by n, the average. Now here x bar multiplied by n, again you will be ended with sigma x. Y bar multiplied by n, again you will be ended with sigma y. Therefore this can be used sigma x, sigma y also, no issue. This also give you the same answer here, because here average into number of items, average into number of items, finally you ended with sigma x and sigma y. Therefore, instead of this you can use sigma x and sigma y, right. Then here you have to use n sigma x squared of each number, then sigma into n minus, look here again, what is this sigma x bar? X bar means sigma x divided by n. X bar is sigma x divided by n. Now once you multiply it by n, it again you will be ended with sigma x. Is that clear? Therefore, you can take the square of this also, no issue, right. You can take the sigma x, then is squared. The same answer you will be received. Now I don't know whether examiner gives you information for this or this. However, you must be able to use the any method, right. This is a formula. Now let's take the MCQ question given, right. This is the MCQ question. Now see, you have to develop this y equal a plus bx. You have to develop y equal a plus bx. Using this information, you have to calculate a and b, then you can develop this formula. Now they are asking what is the correct answer for a and b. They have given different values for a and b. Identify the pair of equations to be solved in order to establish a and b value for the regression line. A and b value. To solve a and b value, what would be the best? The pair of equations. Is that clear? That is the question. Now to solve a and solve b, what would be the most suitable two equations? Now here they are using not this method. That's the question, right. Let's have this one. They are using not directly these two formulas. That's the question. Why? Here you have formula for a, formula for y. Those are not simultaneous equations, but here in the question they are asking what is the best simultaneous equation to solve a and b. They are referring simultaneous equation method to find out a and b, right. Let's see. Now when it's come to here, the 400 equal 5a and 100b. Other one 8104 equal 100a minus 2040b. Now without considering this any answer, let's allocate these numbers into our formula first. Let's see like this, right. Now I will allocate to calculate b numbers using the given information in the question, right. Now to calculate b, they have not given sigma x, x bar, y bar. Therefore without considering this, let's take the second blue formula for b. N, how much the n? They have mentioned, they have not mentioned n, they have just mentioned sigma x, sigma y, sigma xy, sigma x squared and sigma y squared. Now if you are going to use this formula, right, you will be ended with separate two equation, but examiner asked to use simultaneous equation method, right. Now I will show you how to solve this through the simultaneous equation method. This is an example given in the study text to follow that, right. Okay. Now here 400 is sigma y, right? 400 is sigma y. First answer 400 equal 5a plus 100b. The 8104 equal 100a plus 2040b. That is the first answer. Now, if you solve these two simultaneous equation, can you have the A and B? Correct answer. The answer B given 400 equal 5a plus 100b and other equation equal 32,278 equal 400a plus 8,104b. Likewise, we have been given 4 answers for this. Now, the problem, what is the correct one to establish A and B, right? As the answer given, the question 10, let us see here, this is the answer given using the two formula. This is, you know, this is the formula for B as I told you, this is the formula for A as I told you. Now, see here how they have introduced figures, right? In your formula, I think you have taken the formulas I have given you on the board. Sigma xy, here sigma 8xy 8104 sigma xy, then minus sigma x sigma y 100 into 400. I think you already seen the formula given on the whiteboard. Please use the previous formula I have given you. Then divide by n sigma x squared. Here sigma x squared is 2040, right? And minus sigma x squared, sigma x is 100, squared is 100 squared, right? Here you have been given 5 into 8,104 minus 100 into 400 divide by 5 into 2040 into 100 squared. That is for B, right? Therefore, B answer will be 520 divided by 200, that is 2.6. Then A, y bar, that is average of y minus B into x bar. Average of y 400 divided by 5 into B calculated 2.6 into x bar, that is 100 divided by 5, that is 28. Therefore, formula will be y equal 28 minus 2.6x. Therefore, correct answer is A in the answers list. This is the correct answers. Now, what you need to do, you have to see whether you can receive these values, that is 28 for A and 2.6 for B by solving those equations. That is the way you have to solve, right? Therefore, what we have to do, as I told you on the whiteboard, you can use two formula for A and B. Keep in your mind, sometimes examiner will tell you the formula list in the book. I don't know how they are going to do in this time. It is not yet cleared. I will explain. I will ask the examination division to explain in their website. Then you can refer and ask how that examination department going to publish this. Whether they are going to give you the formula or that what called the tables, probability tables. But in the KE2 exam, they have given all formula, therefore there was no issue, right? Therefore, answer would be A to get the 2.6 for B and 28 for A. We had only 10 MCQ questions in the previous syllabus. We have selected only 2 questions for mathematics here, right? Then I will take another past paper. That was 2016 June. I will take now 2016 September paper. Right, this is a 2016 September paper. Let's take one by one. The first question is a costing question. Second order costing question. I will select only the mathematics question for you. Right. 2.2, again this is a probability related question. Historical records of a machine which produces biscuit are as follows. Right. Year 2010 to 2015, given output volume and the total cost. Calculate total variable cost, total fixed cost, and using high-low method. This is related that what's called costing related question, but it's a mathematical calculation there. What you need to do, you know the value, that fixed value and the variable value include in a single value. The difference between two values will be the variable part. Now for an example, now this is the total cost 1.250, that one figure, the 900. Now if you take these two, there is a difference, right? That difference shows the variance of these two values. That's about the variance. Now the quantity increased from 90 to 120 by 30,000, then cost increase 900 to 1250. Now increase will shows the variable part of the question. That's called it's a calculation of the variable part within the fixed value. Most questions are, that's called costing related, since it is a combination of both costing and the mathematics. Therefore I will only filter mathematics question in the past papers. The last question. There are several components in the time series. You know, we have just discussed these lessons in the previous video. There are several components in a time series, you know, or four: trend, seasonal, cyclical and irregular variations, right, to be analyzed in order to identify the movement and prepare forecast. Explain the meaning of time series, which refers to the component of time series, right? Explain the meaning of time series which refers to component of time series. Component are T, C, SI, trend, cyclical, irregular and the seasonal. Now they are asking you to explain it. I will directly move into the answer. I think you can remember we have discussed these four things. Time series is a series of values observed on recorded over time. Series of information recorded over time is a time series. It consists of four items: T, S, C, I. T is the trend, S is the seasonal impact, C is the cyclical impact and the I is the irregular impact, or you can use random variances. This is that four. Right, this type of question will be tested in the exam. Sometimes you have to write down short answers, or sometimes you have to drag the answer, correct answer from the list of answers, or you have to underline. That type of paper will be given in this time. Therefore better to practice more MCQ question from the past syllabus. Now I will select another past paper. Let's take 2015 March paper. Now look at this question 1.3. There are two factories in an organization. Factory X has 10 employees and factory Y has 20 employees, the total employees in the two factories. Their daily outputs are denoted by X and Y respectively. Sigma X squared 2950, sigma Y squared 5000. The mean daily outputs are mean of X, that is X bar 18, mean of Y, Y bar 15. The both factories are taken together as the whole population of the factory employees. The mean daily output of an employee and the standard deviation respectively in unit would be. Now this is a mathematics statistic related question. What are the information available? We have sigma X squared, right? Then we have sigma Y squared. Then we have mean value of X, X bar. Then we have mean value of Y, Y bar. These are the only four information. In addition to that, we have n of X, number of employees in X and number of employees in Y. N for X and n for Y you also have. The question is, if both factories are taken together, if we consider both together, now we are considered separately, that is why we have separate measures sigma X squared, sigma Y squared, because we have considered X and Y separately, right. Mean we have considered separately. Now they are asking, if both factories are taken together as the whole population of the factory employees. Now if you take all the factories together, you have totally 30 employees here, because here 10, here 20, then totally it will become 30 employees. If it is considered together, the mean daily output of employees and the standard deviation respectively in unit. That this question about how you can combine measures of two population together. That is the question. How you can combine the measures of two populations separately analyzed together and have a common measures, right? Let's directly move into the analysis part. That is 2015 March. The question was question number 1.3. This is the calculation, right? Now the question, don't try to take the answer of this question. Question was how you can combine two population measures into one, right? You had company X, you had company Y, remember. Number of employees in X 10, number of employees in Y 20. NX, number of employees NX 10, NY 20. Then they have given sigma X squared, sigma Y squared, and they have given mean of X, mean of Y. I think mean of X 18, mean of Y 15. Now they are asking mean of the combined population. That's the question, right? Try to understand the theory. Now can you remember mean of X 18, number of employees in x 10, you will multiply, then you have the total of x, then mean of y 15, number of employees in y 20. Once you multiply 20 by 15, you have the total of y. Once you multiply 18 by 10, you have the total of x. Then when you get the sum of these two, you have total amount that should be divided by 30. I told you total employees in the two factories is 30, then average will be 16. I think you got the idea, right? When you combine the two population, you need to get the total of both population, then divide by the total n. Total n is 30. Then they ask what is the combined standard deviation, right? Combined standard deviation. This is sigma x squared and sigma y squared given, right? You will get the sum, then you will divide by the 30 and square root, because if you are not getting the square root, it will be the variance. When you get the square root, it will be the standard deviation. Therefore, standard deviation, right, will be the 3. Now formula sigma s squared plus sigma y squared divided by 3 minus 16 into 16, that is the mean value, right? Because standard deviation will be calculated after calculating the variance. Variance is x minus x bar. Got it? Can I explain in the board? I will explain with an example for your convenience. Say simple like this. You have numbers 5, 6, 7, 2, 3. What is the total? 11, 18, 20, say 5, then 25. Say this is x. Now this will be sigma x, total of x. What is the average? Average called x bar, that is sigma x divided by 5, n. That is 25 divided by 5, average will be 5. Clear? Now if you calculate, if you want to calculate the variance, variance called, this is the sign, x minus x bar is the variance. Now this is x, this is x bar, therefore x minus x bar 0. Here x minus x bar 1, x minus x bar 2, x minus x bar minus 3, x minus x bar 0. Now you can take sigma here, the total will shows you sigma x minus x bar, right here. Now this is have 0, 1 plus answers as well as minus answers. However, difference always says the variance. Therefore, you have to take x minus x bar squared to remove minus answers. Then you will be ended 0, 1, 4, 3 into 3, 9. Then minus will be removed. Minus into minus will be plus and 9. Now you have sigma x minus x bar squared. Right? This is the variance. This is the variance. Standard deviation is, if variance is this, standard deviation is the square root of this. That's the mathematical application, right? Now in your question, given question, see these are little bit complicated MCQ question, right? But you will be tested for this question. Now they have mentioned you have two population x and y, two factories, right? Total number of x 10, total number of y 20. Then they have mentioned mean value x bar 18, y bar I think it was 15. Let's see the question also, then we can take easily the figures. X bar 18, y bar 15. Then sigma x squared, that is 2950, sigma y squared equal 5000. Now they are asking to take x and y together as a single population. When you take x and y together, your n will be 30. The sum of these two, very simple. N will be 30. Now this is x bar, this is y bar. If you multiply this by this, you will have the total as 180. Since you have divided 180 by 10, that's why you have 80. Clear? Here, this is sigma x. Here sigma y will be the multiplication of these two. 20 into 15, that is 300. Right? Therefore, here the sum of both will be 180 plus 300, that is 480. Now they are asking mean of this combined population. Mean value will be 480 divided by total n 30, right? That is, answer will be 1, 18, 180. How much the number of 30? Here you have the answer. That is 16. For 48 only 1, then you have 18, 180 you have 6. Therefore, mean value of the combined population will be 16. How you have calculated? Sigma total, that sigma of the figures divided by n. This is the total. Why? Once you multiply these two, you have sigma x. Once you multiply these two, you have sigma y. Then when it's combined, it would be 480. Total numbers 30. 480 divided by 30, 60. This is the answer. You can see on the screen, right? Previously I explain you. Now the second question, they are asking standard deviation. Standard deviation. Standard deviation is the variance of square root of variance. Now this is sigma x squared, this is sigma y squared. Clear? Now this is that sigma x squared, the total of x squared, total of y squared. If you can eliminate the average from these two, you will have the variance. The square root of that will be the standard deviation. Look here, this is the answer for standard deviation. This is sigma x bar, so sigma x squared, this is sigma y squared. You will take the total because you have combined the population. Then you will divide it by 30. Then you will have the average of the squared. You will deduct meaning into meaning because you have two populations. Then square root of this will be the standard deviation. This is a highly possible question because 2 mark question. You have to be ready for this type of question, right? Let's move into the next question. Next question is not a mathematical question. Right, probability question 1.7. I am not focusing only do this question, I am trying to explain the theory behind this question also, right? Out of 300 students, always we have to highlight these figures, right? Out of 300 students in a school, 100 are studying accounting. Accounting is studying by 100. 80 are studying combined mathematics. 30 are studying both subject, that is accounting and mathematics. If one of these students is appointed as of the head prefect of the school, the probability of that the student is studying only one of the two subject is as follows. This is conditional probability. This is called conditional probability. Let's see how we can solve this question. Right? Okay, let's have taken this type of table. accounting, mathematics students, right? All students are 300 students, clear? 100 are studying accounting, 80 are studying business, sorry, combined mathematics, 30 studying both, right? You can take this picture or another method. Look here, here. This is maths, this is accounting. See, total accounting students 100, ATI studying combined maths, ATI studying combined maths, both studying 30, both subjects. 30 students are studying both, clear? That means 70 only studying only account, 50 only studying mathematics, clear? Now the question, if you select person for the head prepaid, he would be a student only studying one subject. What is the best answer for this? Total in the population 300, right? Total in the population 300. If you select a student who is studying only one subject, if you select a student for the head prefect position, what is the probability of he studying only one subject, right? Look at the second table I have given you, as well as you can develop this Venn diagram, right? That the question is 1.7. See, now let us see the answer. See, number of students doing only accountants is 70. I told you in my Venn diagram. Number of students only studying combined math 50. 80 minus 30, right? Probability of doing only one subject 70 plus 50, that is 70 plus 50 out of 300 students. Therefore, correct answer would be C, that is this, clear? 100 minus 100 on 300, that is accountancy, 80 on 300, that is mathematics. The sum of these two, that is the probability of doing both subjects, both two subjects, minus 60 on 300. What is 60? Right here, 30 doing both accounting and mathematics, and 30 doing both accounting and mathematics. Therefore, you have to eliminate 360 from the both values. Therefore, answer will be ended as this 70 plus 50 divided by 300, that is answer C, right? I think you got the answer right here. 100 divided by 300, that is the probability of doing accounting. 80 divided by 300, that is probability of doing mathematics. But these two include students who doing both. Therefore, you have to eliminate it, right? Here you have 30 who doing both. Here you have 30 who doing both. Therefore, from the both you need to deduct. Therefore, only answer B and C can be selected, because other two cases it is plus and division. Therefore, that cannot be taken. Only B and C will be the positive answers. You cannot deduct only 30, because 30 is here both, 30 is here both. Therefore, you have to deduct 60 from the both. Therefore, answer is C, right? Another nice question. Mr. Vijay Singh invested rupees 89,286 to buy a 1-year treasury bill with a face value of 100,000. He have paid 89,286 to buy 1-year treasury bill 100,000. That is end of the first year he will be ended with 100,000 face value. Exactly half a year before complete the first complete year, right? Exactly half a year later, treasury bill is priced at 94,787. That from 89,286 to 94,786 it was increased. Only for half a year, right? Only for half a year, because when it's complete the entire year, it will be ended with 100,000. Clear? However, when it's complete half a year, it is increased to 94,787. In relation to this investment, the following statement have been made. The annual effective interest rate will be 100,000 minus 89,286 divided by 100,000. His historical amortized interest income for the first half 5,501, the difference between the half a year value and the initial value. Market interest rate for similar investment have increased after 6 months from the date of initial investment. Which of the above statement are correct? That is 1.8. The number 1, that is, this is incorrect. Why? The effective interest rate will be this minus this for half a year. For full year, this minus the investment divided by the invested value. Therefore, this is incorrect, as he mentioned, is incorrect. When effective interest rate is calculated, denominator should be the investment value, not the 100,000, because you have invested 89,000. Then you will earn total value 100,000. Difference between 100,000 and 89,000 is the interest. That's okay per annum. That should be divided by 89,000 to have the effective interest rate, not by the 100,000. That's why it is incorrect. Then B is incorrect, as amortized interest is not the difference between the market value and fair value. Amortized interest is the interest calculated using effective interest rate. Keep your mind. Amortized interest is the interest calculated using effective interest rate, not the market price, difference between market price and the cost, right? Amortized interest is the interest calculated using effective interest rate, not the difference between the market price and fair value. The point 3, market interest rate for similar investment have been increased after 6 months. Let's see. Initially you agreed to buy it at 89,000, worth will be 100,000, difference is the interest. When it's divided by 89,000, you will have the annual effective interest rate as calculated here, 11.99. Look here, the difference would be earned at the end of the first year, divided by the original investment, rate will be 11.99. that is the effective interest rate set at the beginning of the investment. However, when it's come to the end of the year, right, 100,000, end of the first half, it is ended with 94,000, right. If you calculated it for half yearly, rate will be 11.99. Interest rate has declined, therefore statement is not correct. Here decline interest rate, but here statement mentioned market interest rate for similar investment have been increased, not increased, it was decreased. Therefore, none of the above is correct. Now what you can do, read this question again and read this answer again, right. I think you can pause the video and read it. All these statements are incorrect. Here effective interest rate calculation incorrect, the calculation of amortized interest method is incorrect. They have mentioned interest market rate was increased, but when it's actually calculated decrease. Therefore, from this question you can understand how to calculate different interest rate in an investment financial mathematics question. The next question, let's see whether we have another mathematics question. right. This is another mathematical question we have discussed. A particular brand of aircraft engines is known to have a mean life of 900 flying hours. This is the mean hours that engine can fly, that is can operate, 900 mean hours and standard deviation of 600 hours. Now this is just like a normal distribution story. You have been given standard deviation, mean value and the standard deviation of the population. Consider the following statement. The life of any engine will be the range of 8,400 to 9,600 flying hours. That is, mean value is 900, standard deviation is 600, that is it can be reduced or increased by 600. Therefore, they have calculated range 8,400. If you reduce 600 from this 8,400, if you add 600 to this 9,600, therefore you can say the range will be 8,400 to 9,000. This is one statement made. Number 2, in the long run, the mean of the large group of sample means with equal sample size is 900 flying hours. In the long run, the mean of the large group of sample mean. Now here you have a particular brand of aircraft engine in known as mean value 900 flying hours and standard deviation of 600. In the long run, mean of the large group of sample with sample means with equal sample size is 900 flying hours. Now in the long run, generally the mean of the sample and the mean of the population will be same. That is the statement they are trying to make. If the sample size is 36, n is 36, the viability of sample mean is expressed by standard deviation of 100 flying hours, right. These are the three statements made. 1.9, the question is 1.9, yes. The life of any range, life of any engine will be the range of this minus 600 and this plus 600. The first statement incorrect. Approximately range is in 3 times of standard error or either side of the mean. That is, when you calculate in range, this is the most important point. The calculating range, it is explained in your study text. I will take that topic directly, right. This is the standard error of the mean, right. Look this formula. This is the standard error of the mean. Standard error of the mean means the range, right. Standard error of the mean is the range. Let's take the board now. Standard error of the mean will be calculate standard deviation divided by square root of n, or there is another method, variance divided by n entire square root. Both methods are correct. Why? Here you have power 2. Here generally we believe here you have 2, right. If you elaborate this formula further, variance, if you take this for this, you can write it down as power of half and n also power of half. Now you can cut 2 to 2, then you have only the standard deviation. Here you can rewrite this divide by power half, will write it down as n. That's why you have this. Therefore, you can use this formula or this formula both, right. Okay. Now let's take the study text again. Standard error of the mean will be standard deviation divided by square root of n. Let's see the application. Right. When you calculate it based on this formula, I will apply my information here. In our example, the standard deviation given as, I will take the question. I think you can have the question by go back into the question. Standard deviation is 600 according to the question given. The sample size they have mentioned 36, right. Then standard error of the mean will be 600 divided by 6, that will be 100. Standard error of the mean will be 100. Clear? Now I will take the answers given. The first one, the life of any engine will be the range in between 9000 minus 600, 9000 plus 600. But it is incorrect, because approximate range in the 3 times of the standard error, right. That 3 times standard error on either side of the mean. Standard error of the mean is 100, right. Standard error of the mean is 100. Therefore, here the third statement given, the sample size 36, the variability of the sample means is expressed by the standard deviation of 100 Plane hours. No, that the third statement is correct, that standard error of is 100, but that range cannot be considered by deducting the standard deviation from 9000. That is very important to consider. Why it cannot be considered, right? Range, because mean is 9000, 9000 plus or minus standard error of the mean based on the confidence level. Now here they did not consider the confidence level, therefore this is incorrect. In the long run, the mean of the large group of sample with equal sample size of 9000 hours, therefore the second point is correct, because in long run the mean of the sample and mean of the what call the population will be equal. In long run, that sample and the population will set together. Therefore, in long run, the mean of the sample and the population will be equal. Therefore, the second and third is correct. That is the question. I think the last question also related, that is statistic related question. No, that is a costing question. Let us move into the other past paper. Let's take 2017 March. Let's have some questions for mathematics. Let us see this 1.6. Balasurya bought a new smartphone for 120,000. He arranged through one of his credit card to pay the amount in 12 monthly installment in arrears of 10,000 each. If his cost of fund 12% per annum, the effective cost of his phone is. That's a nice question. Balasurya bought a new smartphone for 120,000. He arranged through one of his credit card to pay the amount in 12 monthly installment. I will show you on this screen, sorry, on the whiteboard. When you buy a phone, not Balasurya, even you, to pay within 12 installment. You have 12 installment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Each installment you will pay 10,000. Now, your fund of cost is 12%. That means you need to get the present value of all these values. Your per annum 12%. Now, these are monthly installment. Therefore, take the present value of this monthly installment. You know all installment are equal. Therefore, you can multiply it only 10,000 into monthly rate will be 1%, right? Monthly rate will be 1% since per annum 12%. The accumulated discounting factor for 12 months like this 1 minus 1 divided by 1 plus r, that is 1.01 power n 12 0 1, right? I think I don't have the calculator, but Suraj have the calculator. He is always bringing calculator for me. Let's have the present value of 10,000 payments in each month. The present value will be 112,550. Therefore, this is the answer. Suraj. The present value for the calculation will be 112,550. The phone value actually 112,550. Balance has been paid for the interest. Clear? I think you have got the idea of the value of the phone. It would be 112,550 since balance paid for the interest. By discounting, we have eliminated, because you will pay 120,000, 10,000 monthly installment over the 12 months. Therefore, the seller will charge interest because seller getting the cash over 12 months. Therefore, seller will charge interest also for the payment. Therefore, each and every 10,000 payment include interest. To get the value of the phone, what you need to do? You need to eliminate interest portion in each installment by discounting as I explained. Then you will have the present value of the installment 112,550. 112,550 is the phone value, balance you have paid for the interest, right? Because they are asking the effective cost of the phone. Effective cost is 112,000 once you discount it. That's all in that paper. Let's move into another paper. 2018 September, 17 September, sorry. This is another MCQ question for interest rate. Let's see this question. BDF Private Limited has obtained a term loan from which the following part of the amortization schedule have been extracted from the bank's records. First month installment 146,875, capital recovery only 71,875. Second installment again 146,875, the installment is equal, but capital recovery only 9,553.12. The loan balance also after the each installment is given. Now they are asking which of the following is stated annual interest rate on this loan. Let's see. Now I will take the previous example, that phone example. I will take the phone example to explain this story easily. Can you remember, you bought a phone, you agreed to pay 10,000 in each month end, monthly interest rate at monthly rate 1%, annual rate was 12%, that's why we have taken month rate as 1%. We have estimated their present value of the asset 112,550. This is the value of the phone. In the first installment, you pay 1% interest and the capital. Your first installment consists 10,000. This is the installment. First installment. You have to pay interest 1% on this, right? 1% on this is 1,125.5, right? 1% on this. Then balance is the capital. Balance means 10,000 minus this is the capital payment, right? I think you got the point. Your phone value 112,550. You paid for the installment 10,000. You have to pay interest 1% per annum, per month. Therefore, you will charge interest this into 1%, that is 1,125.5. Therefore, capital balance will be the difference between this. Out of 10,000, company recovered their capital 8,874.5. If somebody asks, what is the interest rate charge? Interest rate charge will be this divided by this. Therefore, R equal to 5.5 divided by 112,550 into 100. Answer will be 1%. Therefore, if you have this table and the net value, you can easily calculate the rate as 1%. Now we have to use the same practice into this example, right? Just look at the screen again to get the information. They have mentioned the loan balance after the first installment 4,928,125. Here, after the first installment, this is the balance. Within the first installment, they have recovered capital this. Therefore, before the first installment, loan will be the sum of these two, because if you not charge the first installment, loan will be the sum of these two, because within the first installment, this is the capital recovered. Take the sum of these two, that is 71. If you not charge the first installment, you not recover the capital, that is 71,875 plus 4,928,125. The total loan value will be 5 million. Since you have recovered the first installment, you recovered the capital this much. Therefore, total loan value before recovering it 5 million. Now, loan is 5 million. Within the first installment, this is capital. Therefore, balance will be interest. Let's see what is the interest charge in the first installment. 146,875 minus 71,875, that is 75,000. Difference is 75,000. 75,000 interest included in the first installment on 5 million loan. Therefore, 75,000 divided by 5 million will be the annual interest rate, that is 1.5. Sorry, I am not get the answer. Which of the following is stated annual interest rate of the loan arrangement? This is monthly installment, right? This is the first installment. This is the capital. Therefore, interest 75,000 difference. Loan will be the sum of these two, 5 million divide by 5 million. Then you will have an answer 1.5. 1.5 is the monthly interest. They are asking annual interest here, annual interest. Therefore, 1.5 multiplied by 12, because we have 12 months, then you have 18%. Therefore, answer will be 18%. Got it? How? Take the first installment. This is the installment. It is monthly. Deduct the capital recovery from this. Then you have the interest portion, that is 75,000. Add these two. Then you have the total loan. Since this is the first installment, before deducting this, sum of these two will be the loan, that is 5 million. Then 75,000 divided by 5 million. Annual interest charge will be monthly interest charge, monthly, sorry, not annual. Monthly interest charge is 1.5. You have 12 months per annum, therefore annual interest rate will be 18%. Right? I think you got the idea how to calculate it. That is based on the loan amortization schedule. There is another nice question about the correlation coefficient. Let's see. Neptune Private Limited is a furniture manufacturer and all of its productions takes place only based on consumer orders. The following statistics are available with regard to demand of table X and chairs, demand for tables X, demand for chairs Y for consecutive period. Year 1, 2, 3, 4, demand for X, demand for Y. Sigma XY, sigma X squared, sigma Y squared. Which of the following shows the nature of the correlation between ordering of tables and chairs? Which of the following shows the nature of the correlation? Nature of the correlation means whether it is minus answer or plus answer, the direction, right? The demand of chairs and table, how it's direct. When chairs demand increasing, whether table chairs increasing or decreasing, the direction of the two variables. If it is minus, negative correlation. If it is plus, positive correlation, right? Which of the following shows the nature of the correlation between the ordering of table and chairs? Let's see the answer also. That is 2017 September paper. Let me type until I take the answers. Today 17 March, our answer was 17 September. Question number 10. What is that question? 1.10. 1.10. Sorry. .10. Is that September 2000. September 2017. they are referring incorrect answer there. 11. The correct answer B, let us see. Now, the sigma x squared 86, sigma y squared 274, right. The correct answer is B. Let us see, A 86.42, right, B 9430 positive correlation, 1133 positive correlation, 1.1133 negative correlation. Now, this is about correlation coefficient calculation. These are the information available for us. Let us see how to calculate correlation coefficient in the chapter 11. This is the correlation coefficient. I will show you the formula. Right, this is the formula. N sigma xy, sigma x, sigma y, right. They are after these figures. Now, they have given all the information. N is 4, sigma xy. How you can take sigma xy? Here sigma xy given, I think you are getting information. Then sigma x, sigma y. How we can take sigma x, sigma y? You can take, this is x, this is y, therefore take the total, then sigma x. When you take the total of these 4 numbers, sigma x, when you take the total of these 4 numbers, sigma y. Now, then top part of the formula is correct, right. Now, let us see square root of n is 4, sigma x squared, n is 4 numbers, sigma x squared 86. Can you see that? Sigma x squared 86. Then sigma x squared, you have sigma x, the sum of these 4, the square of sum of these 4, as well as sigma y squared formula, sigma y squared, it is given in the question, n is 4, then sigma y squared. Put the figures into the formula, solve and see what is the correct answer out of these 4. According to their answer, it will be this, right. Just apply the formula, this is the formula, find out figures from the given information here and calculate. You should be received this, I don't know why I didn't check that. Please check when you check in the answer, right. I think that's how you have to do the practices. Download all the KE past papers. That past papers have some multiple choice question related to mathematics and statistics. Practice only those 2 questions, then you can have additional knowledge about this. Okay, this is the end day of this session. I will wish all the best to pass this subject. Thank you very much.